Is it your hormones, or is there safe natural solutions for hormone therapy? Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Puskar, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about hormones in general. The first thing I want to handle is the definition of the word hormones, because most of the time when people ask me, is it my hormones, what they're really talking about, is it an estrogen problem or a progesterone problem? And that may or may not be the root of the hormone problem. Even if those two areas are imbalanced, the chart behind me is going to explain what we really need to look at and the question we really need to ask. So here is the actual hormone pathway that your body will go through. On this chart, it'll make cortisol for stress and energy, fatigue situations. It'll make estrogen, it'll make progesterone, it'll make testosterone, and a whole bunch of other funky words here that you can't see on purpose, because each one of these other rectangles represents the precursors that makes the hormones that you know so well. So the question might not be, for example, do you have an actual progesterone situation or estrogen situation? And though they're on the chart, the question is, maybe is your hormone situation coming from a backlog or a stop or a barrier with one of the hormonal precursors? The reason this is important is that if you've already tried natural estrogen or progesterone therapies, whether that be herbs or holistic medicine, and or you might have even tried the bioidentical hormones or the medicinal estrogen and progesterone creams, what you're running into, if you did not see the clinical improvements that you had hoped or expected, that the real story behind your hormone situation is absolutely then in one of these other precursor components. The goal is to find out which pathways are not working, and then obviously with nutrition, provide the actual correct nutrition to open up those pathways and then allow the body to naturally make the estrogen, the progesterone, testosterone, or whatever other hormone you're looking to help support. The secret to the whole chart, though, starts in the upper left. This one here is, as you can see, the pathway that starts the whole chain reaction. So the arrow comes down in, and then it goes through a series of hormonal changes, and then it also passes what's left over from the first step over and down, and then over and down, and then over and down. And then what it does is it actually will come around and it will go back up. So you can see your body is always in some state of either making and or breaking down hormones. So you have this cycle that's continual. My job is to find out what part of the cycle is broken down, whether it's one or several components, and then handle those individual portions of the circle or the cycle that are not working so that the other parts can work smoothly and freely. And again, if it truly is an estrogen or progesterone problem, we are going to let your body take care of that for us on its own by providing the raw materials it needs. So what is the raw material that it actually needs? Well, what's in this rectangle up here at the top in the left-hand corner is the word cholesterol. If you didn't know, all of your hormones are made from cholesterol. It's broken down, it's changed in molecular structure, and then it's turned into all of the key hormones that you're familiar with. One of the key problems with estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, if you're a man watching this, they're the three key ones that we're all running into, is that there's some breakdown, again, in the cholesterol mechanism. So number one, you might not be eating enough cholesterol. Number two, maybe you're eating enough, but you can't break it down. Maybe you're eating enough, maybe you can break it down, but your body can't transport it to where it needs to go. Maybe you're doing all those three things, and the last final piece is that you actually can't convert it into the hormones due to a breakdown in one of these biochemical steps. So once we know that we have the cholesterol coming in, we have to make sure that it's equally distributed and utilized by each of the key areas here so that you have what's known as hormonal balance. You have plenty of all the key hormones doing their job in sequence, in conjunction with each other on a daily basis. Where you run into, quote, hormone problems is when you have one that's out of kilter. You have too much of this and none of this, or you have a whole bunch of this and nothing prior. So what we have to do is really take a look at the whole biochemical hormone pathway when we're talking about, is it my hormones, and how to handle. The most common one, and this may or may not be you, but what I see symptomatically and with my patients is the one where it's called pregnenolone. So that's a big word, but anyway, you can look it up online when we're done talking here. This key cholesterol modified form is actually the one that now is in charge and turns into everything else. What I have noticed is most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone problems stem from what's called the pregnenolone steal, the S-T-E-A-L. So what happens is that your body is supposed to be making those 3 key hormones, but other parts of your body are stealing the pregnenolone molecule. So there isn't any left over to make these other key hormones. Now it'll make you think you have a hormone problem because you'll start getting moody, brain fog, have hot flashes. You'll think it's truly a hormonal situation, but it actually is more what is known as the pregnenolone steal. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So what happens here and why this occurs is it has to do with cortisol. So if you are stressed or if you live your life in constant overwhelm and you just never settle down, you never chill out, and you never take a break, you now have your hormone system up for all of your spare cholesterol and all of this pregnenolone to go to cortisol for the making of cortisol to continue this high maintenance kind of hyperactive, never chilling out kind of life. These people are what are known as cortisol dominant. What we need to do is get you to try and settle down a little bit, and whether we're going to do that with diet, nutrition, and or lifestyle modifications so that there's definitely some pregnenolone left over so that cortisol didn't steal it all. So that way, right here is the cortisol pathway. So if this particular pathway is now utilizing 50% less of your overall cholesterol and pregnenolone needs per day, that allows 50% more to go to all of these key areas. And then in these key areas are where your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone lie. So here, right out of the gate, you now have 50% more of your daily biochemical hormone pathways going to the areas that you want. Once that's achieved, the idea, like I said, is to have each one of these key areas balanced so that there's plenty for everyone to share. Because one pathway obviously will contribute and give back to the other pathway. And again, this is what's known as true hormonal balance. If you'd like to find out more if this hormonal situation is the true, by definition, hormone situation that you're dealing with, go to my website at www.drloripuskar.com, free consult, and schedule your free phone consult with me for us to talk more about, is it hormones and is it a true hormone imbalance? Thanks again for watching and have a great day.